Hey guys, I'm back with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about some DC updates regarding some Supergirl news, Lantern news, and some big Man of Tomorrow news. But before we get started, guys, please hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. All right. So as you can see, I made some new improvements on the video. Um, have a microphone here. That way, you guys can probably, hopefully, hear me better. And if you can, please let me know in the comments. That way I could probably turn this mic up. But yeah, this is really because I think one guy said that he can really hear me as well. So or hear my video as well. So hopefully this can help y'all hear me better. And again, if you can't, please let me know. Uh, so hopefully I can turn the mic up. But yeah, uh, hopefully you can hear me better. But continue on with the video. I said that this video is going to be talking about some Supergirl news because there was a Supergirl trailer. There was also a Lantern sneak peek, and some big Man of Tomorrow news that we'll get on to later on in the video. And there's also been a lot of actually Marvel news that I actually will probably actually talk about later on in the video. But starting off with Supergirl, um, there has been a trailer. Yes. There was a trailer. I saw it and I like it. I like the trailer. One thing I really like about the trailer is that how different it is from Superman. It doesn't feel like the exact same thing. One thing that I don't like, and I told y'all this before, one thing I don't like about CW Supergirl is how much she feels like the same character as Superman. She has the same goals, like she wants to inspire hope, and protect her city. And that always just felt similar to CW Superman. And that's one thing again that I don't like about her kind of as a character is that she just feels like the exact same character as CW Supergirl. I'm sorry, Superman. Um, and like going all the way back in the 19s when the first Supergirl movie came out, one thing that I also really had a problem with the film, even though it wasn't really a good film, one thing I had a problem with is that how much it felt so much like Christopher Reeve's Superman. It didn't feel different. It didn't feel different entirely. It felt like the exact same thing. So that's one thing I don't like about kind of those iterations of Supergirl is how much it feel she really feels like the exact same character as Superman. So, and I will admit they kind of change it in the DCEU with the Flash. I will admit she is kind of different from Henry Cavill, but I would say overall she's a little bit the same. But I will also say that yes, she is, in the DCEU the DCEU Supergirl is different, and they kind of start to change her character in the DCEU. Even in the comics, like Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, which this movie is heavily inspired from, she is different from Superman. She's messed up. She's kind of, I would say, depressed, because again, she had to watch everyone she loved on Krypton die right in front of her, and she was only like in her like around 12. Well, she was older than that, but she was old enough to she was really kind of a teen, and she had to watch everyone she loved die, and that can hurt. Um, that can hurt anybody. That can and that can really change your life completely. So again, I like what they're doing, and I like how they're really kind of making this feel different from Superman. They're not making this feel like the exact same thing, and that's what I really like about this trailer. One thing I also like is the colors. Uh, I've been hearing a lot of complaints of people saying that it feels too much Guardians of the Galaxy, and all I gotta say is, what's the problem with that? Guardians of the Galaxy. That's a great trilogy. Trilogy. Um, and I mean, it makes sense why it feels like Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, two like I'm comparing Star Lord, um, and Supergirl, two messed up characters who have been kind of messed up in their lives. Both have to watch their kind of parents die, um, and the whole movie is inspired by a space adventure, adventuring across the galaxies, I can see why it will feel like the Guardians of the Galaxy, or why it will feel like the exact same thing. Um, Especially, I would also admit, like, one thing that probably make people be like, "Oh, this feels Guardians of the Galaxy," is the music. When the trailer plays, I believe the music is called Blondie. I believe that's what it's called. Um, and it feels really Guardians of the Galaxy. So, but I have no problem with it feeling Guardians of the Galaxy, but I would have a problem though if the entire film feels like the Guardians of the Galaxy. I want Supergirl to feel not like a James Gunn project. One thing I will probably say I don't like about the DCU um, is that it feels like the exact same thing because it's the exact same director, the exact same writer. We have had a total of 3 projects, and each one was has the had the exact same director, exact same writer. Creature of Commandos and Peacemaker felt like kind of the exact same thing. Creature Commandos and the Suicide Squad kind of felt like the exact same thing. Um, and I really kind of it's not really I had a problem with it. It's just like I want something different. I want something new. Um, so I really do hope that Supergirl can pull that off and make us the audience feel like this is different from a James Gunn project. This is a different thing totally. So I can definitely see why people have a problem with the trailer feeling Guardians of the Galaxy because you really want something different than a James Gunn project. And Superman felt like, in my opinion, its own thing. Sure, it had music in it. Sure, it has some maybe humor, but it had emotion and a lot more emotion. And I felt like Superman was a totally felt like a totally different James Gunn project entirely. So, um, but again, I could see why people don't want Supergirl to feel like Guardians of the Galaxy because they want something different and they want something new. I mean, we're getting Lanterns, we're getting Supergirl, we're getting Clayface. All 3 of those projects are not James Gunn projects. Uh, they may be produced by James Gunn, but they're not James Gunn projects. So now in 2027, we're getting Man of Tomorrow, which is a James Gunn project, but I don't know. Maybe it'll be different from Superman, Peacemaker, Kitchen Commandos. But again, I can see why people don't like that the trailer feels Guardians of the Galaxy. Moving on, we do see uh, Lobo in the trailer. Now, it's like a 3-second shot, as him as Lobo. But, if you go on Twitter and that, people have been like 4K the shot and you could really see it better. Like, it's like more brighter. Is because in the trailer it's like dark. It's like kind of like darker and you can't really see what he looks like. But people have 4K'd it and light it up and kind of edit it up a bit. And we can really see what he looks like. And all I have to say is he looks very, very comic accurate. I like what they're doing with it. I will admit, Jason Momoa was born to play Lobo. I don't know why they cast him as Aquaman. I mean, don't get me wrong, he did a great job playing Aquaman. He was a great Aquaman. I would love to see him again. I mean, he won't return as Aquaman, but I'm saying like, I wouldn't mind if they came back and say the DCEU was continuing. They did Aquaman 3. I wouldn't mind. I enjoyed Aquaman. Aquaman 2 was my least favorite. I thought it was too jokey, humorous, but I think Jason Momoa did a great job as Aquaman because he kind of made Aquaman feel like a totally different character. But me personally, I think he was born to play this role as Lobo. His main line in Aquaman was "My man." What's Lobo's main line? The main man. So again, Jason Momoa, born to play this role, uh, and I think he'll do a great job as Lobo. He just looks again. I can't get over how comic accurate he looks. Um, he looks ripped from the comics. And yeah. Um, and then going forward, the villain is different. He looks more alien like than in the comics. In the comics, he's a little bit more human. But in here, we can see that he's a little bit more alien like than human, which is different. Some people say they have a problem with it. I really don't. I think it makes sense. I mean, you're traveling to different galaxies. It kind of makes sense why he looks. You want the villain to look a little bit more scary and alien-like. Since you are traveling to different galaxies and planets, it would make sense why you kind of would want this to feel the villain to feel a little bit more scary, a little bit have a little bit more with the audience. So yeah, Supergirl trailer. I will say the only nitpick I have with the trailer is that I wish it was more colorful. If you read the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow comic book, um, one thing I love about the comic book is how beautiful it looks. It's bright, it's colorful. That's one thing I love about the comic book. And I was saying the movie, they're kinda not they're limiting that. Now, again, the movie hasn't come out yet, so we don't know how it'll probably, like, really look entirely, um, but right now, what I'm seeing is not as colorful as I thought it would be, but again, they have time to kinda fix that, and again, that's just a nitpick, and again, I know why they kinda didn't wanna make it as colorful because they don't want it to make it feel like Superman and make it feel so much like Superman. So, I don't really have a I don't that much have a problem with it not being as colorful because I know the reason why it's not as colorful. But one thing I do wish it had a little bit more color to it. But yeah, that's only the nitpick I have with the trailer. Overall, I love the trailer. I love the vibe it's kind of bringing with this type of movie. I think this movie will be great. There was like another update is that they did a recent test screening with Supergirl. Like just random people just went to go see I believe the entire movie. I believe it's around like 2 hours and it was like around 2 hours and 5 minutes around there. Um, so it's it's around 2 hours. And people saw it. Mostly I heard is like a 7 out. They gave it a 7 out of 10. It's good, but not great. It's nothing mind blowing. All I really care is that it's good. I don't think Supergirl really has to be great. I want it to be great. Um, but as long as it's good and it does well enough to where like the audience rating, the Rotten Tomatoes is is good enough to where like the movie gets a pass for I guess Netflix, then I'm okay with it. But uh, as long again, it sounds like it's nothing big, nothing special. I heard that Jason Momoa has a total of 2 fight scenes, so we will probably see a little bit more of him. And yeah, so that's really they gave it a 7 out of 10. Again, guys, test screenings are a lot of times made to make the film better if they need to improve on anything. Um, so and like I heard like the villain, people didn't like him that much. So again, they have room to improve. Test screenings are made to improve on the movie, so they can always improve. So yeah, that's really not. I don't believe it's really every update on Supergirl, but it's most of the updates on Supergirl. Overall, I am excited. I believe this movie can pull off something special with the DCU. And yeah, I am excited for this project. I'm excited to see what it could pull off. And yeah, that's really all the Supergirl updates. Let me know in the comments what you think uh, of the trailer and what you think of these test screenings that have been going around. But moving on to Lanterns, there has been a recent sneak peek at Lanterns. So HBO Max has a file for like all their shows. Well, really, yeah, it's all their shows that are coming out with trailers and each time. And Lanterns, it had its own file, and I believe it was around 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. around somewhere around where the trailer was going to come out. I believe it came out around at 4 p.m. And the trailer came out, and I'm going to admit, guys, I'm going to admit I was a little bit disappointed in the trailer. Um, or really the sneak peek because it was only like 12 seconds. Uh, sorry. Um, but yeah, it was only like 12 seconds. It wasn't really that much. It wasn't really big. Um, and I was disappointed. I was expecting a full grown teaser trailer. Now, I will admit though, I am not surprised because like the the series ain't is not gonna come out until late summer. We have, like, around 9 months. There's no need to do a trailer right now, I will admit that. So, I'm not as surprised as a lot of y'all are, but I'm a little bit disappointed, and I know a lot of people were a little bit disappointed because they wanted to see a little bit more, but, uh, 12-second teaser, I mean, I was really excited, I was. I was just I was on my phone waiting for the trailer to see this teaser trailer, but all we got was just Aaron Pierre telling everybody how excited he is to show the teaser and to show the series, and I was just like, "Man, I was expecting so much." But, I'll get what I have. I'll get what I can get, but so the trailer or sneak peek, as I like to call it, the sneak peek shows really more of a dynamic between Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan. And we see them going to, like, town hall where, like, the whole town is having a meeting with the sheriff, and we see Jon Stewart saying, "Oh, I trained my whole life for this." Now, I'm assuming he's talking about he trained his whole life to become a Marine, because I don't think like, he did not train his whole life to become a Lantern. Because let's be for real, he did not expect to become a Green Lantern. So he must be talking about Marine because the show is gonna go deep down, gonna go a little bit deep into his past and talk about, his family, what he how he grew up, him becoming a Marine, an architect, all of that. And so we see him saying that, and we see him walking, I believe, on a football field. I thought really it was a crime scene because it looks like a crime scene, but I guess people are saying it's a football field. But I'm going to stick to a crime scene because that's what it looks like. Um, and we see that John Stewart, he looks a little bit mad. Maybe he got into an argument with somebody. I'm guessing Hal Jordan. Maybe they disagreed on something. Um, then we see Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, I'm also guessing, walking into another crime scene. Looks like a lab, but I guess it's a crime scene. Um, and, and then we get another scene of them in a car. Um, Hal Jordan says, "You're not ready to you're not ready to get in front of the class unless the ring says you are." So get in front of class, meaning like the Green Lantern Corp. You're not ready to get on that league yet until the ring says you are. Now, me personally, always thought like the Guardians would let like John Stewart know if you're ready. Like, the Guardians would choose if you're ready. But, like, the ring chooses who, you know, who they want, who has, the willpower to be able to really control and to be able to have this ring. So the ring does choose you, but I always thought that the Guardians kind of really decided if you're ready or not. But I guess they're like saying, the ring decides if you're ready to become part of the Green Lantern Corps. And then all of a sudden, it's the most Hal Jordan thing to do. He jumps out of the car, I guess to really prove his point. He jumps out of the car. John Stewart just reacts in the most hilarious way. He just shocked and just like confused. And then I believe he reaches to grab the steering wheel, but the car just goes off the road and just falls. And I believe that very scene, that's going to be our first time where we will see uh Hal Jordan. I'm not sorry, John Stewart in his Green Lantern suit, flying out the car, doing something. I don't know, but I believe this is going to be our first time seeing John Stewart in his Green Lantern suit, and that gets me very excited. And yeah, um, I believe that John Stewart and Hal Jordan, that first look that we got of Hal Jordan and John Stewart, like them walking on the road, I believe that very first look is taking place right after the scene where, Hal Jordan jumps out the car, John Stewart flies out the car with the Green Lantern ring with the suit. Because we see Hal Jordan, his hair's all messy and his clothes looks a little bit messed up too. So that makes me guess that this scene of them, the first look that we got of Hal Jordan and John Stewart walking on the road, that is taking place directly after Hal Jordan jumps out the car and John Stewart flies out the car. So that's my guess. I'm very actually really sure. I'm like almost like 90. I'm like 90% sure that that scene. That's exactly when it's taking place. But yeah. So that's really the sneak peek. Again, it's only 12 seconds long. It's nothing big. I like the teaser. It got me hyped for the series that I am excited next year. But I will admit I'm still a little bit disappointed because I wanted to see more. But it still gets me excited. Lanterns is still my most anticipated series next year. I'm very excited to watch it. But you know, Lanterns is coming out late summer and again, it was delayed, and we actually know the reason why. I believe Peter Safran came out and said why it got delayed. He said because of time and promotion. HBO Max really wanted to, wrote the film. They wanted to take their time to promote this film because, let's be honest, I think Lanterns is, like, probably their biggest show next year. I mean, House of Dragons is coming out, so that's probably also their biggest show. But Lanterns is too. It's a Green Lantern show. Of course, that's, like, gonna be a big and popular series coming out next year. So HBO Max is really probably gonna want to promote it. So yeah. So that's really the reason I told y'all I knew that Lanterns wasn't delayed because of the quality. I mean, I was a little bit thinking of that because like maybe reshoots, but I really didn't really think all that towards it. I didn't because people were really scared when they heard that Lanterns was delayed. I was always just like, I don't think there's nothing really wrong with the show. But now we have confirmation there's really nothing wrong. They're really just really trying to promote it and it makes sense. When we kept hearing that, "Oh, it's coming out early 2026," we still won't they're like, there was no marketing with the show. So, it makes sense to see why they delayed it. This whole thing of them coming out saying why it was delayed makes sense. So, yeah, the whole Lanterns delay makes sense. This actually makes me feel better to know that there's nothing really the quality of the film or the series, there's nothing wrong with the quality of the series. So, yeah, that's really all really the Lanterns news. I'm still very excited to see what they're gonna pull off. Alright, so moving on to Man of Tomorrow. We have officially we officially have our Brainiac. Now, I don't know the name, he's really not a A-list actor, I believe he's kind of an unknown actor. Um, he's done some minor roles, um, and, you know, again, I don't really know his name. I do know what he looks like. Me personally, he looks like Brainiac. I could see like you just putting I could see people editing him out, and they are already doing that. Editing him out, putting just green on him, shaving his head, and see what he looks like. He looks like Brainiac. Um, and I've been hearing people be complaining saying that, "Oh, man, oh, why did they choose I don't know who this is. This is bad. Why is it bad that you don't know who it is? You don't know if he's actually a great actor or not." He could be again, James Gunn came out and said the reason he didn't cast him because of his previous roles of maybe one of his movies that he played. No, he cast him because of his audition. He did great. He impressed James Gunn. And I mean, if he's able to impress James Gunn and maybe some other people, that's impressive. That means he must be a good actor. So like you don't have to be an A-list actor to be able to be a great actor. You don't have to be a well-known actor to be able to be a good actor. And that's my opinion. But I wanna see what he could pull off. Now, I don't know the guy, I don't know what role he's ever played, I never seen him before, but I'm just gonna wait and see. He could pull off something big. He already impressed James Gunn with his audition, he can impress everybody else when the actual movie comes out. So, we'll just have to wait and see. Because people guys, we're doing it all over it again. We said this with David Cornsweet. Oh, people, I don't know who David Cornsweet is. Oh, he's gonna do bad as the role. And then when the movie comes out, everybody's praising his performance. Like, again, guys, let's just wait and see. Um, let's just wait and see. Let's not just judge the actor before the movie even comes out. So again, I knew Brainiac was gonna probably be the villain. James Gunn was hinting at it. long before, you know, just before I believe like when he announced the project, he was hinting at it like right after he was announcing the project. Um and you know, I'm excited. I thought it would be Mongol a little bit. I was kind of thinking it was going to be Mongol, but Brainiac, I'm very excited. First time kind of in live action. I'm excited to see what he's going to pull off. And yeah, Man of Tomorrow, very excited for. We have so far Isabella Merced as Hawkgirl, David Corns as Superman, Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, I believe Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane, and possibly Aaron Pierre as John Stewart, aka Green Lantern. And now, again, I don't know his name, but we officially now have our Brainiac. So I think Man of Tomorrow can prove to be a phenomenal film, and I can't wait to see Brainiac on the big screen in live action in IMAX. Very excited. But yeah, that's really all the DC news. Uh, there's a lot more like Brave and the Bold, probably going for production in 2027. Heard about that. Yeah, there's a lot of other DC news that I will get into in my future videos. Um, but, there's been a lot of Marvel news. There's been some leaks. X-Men leak. Just saw that. I can't get over. Looks really good, but I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want Marvel to be on me. And then there was like Spider-Man Brand New Day leaks. Loved it. Captain America leaks. Loved it. And then Thor leaks, loved it. So far, Avengers Doomsday is probably going to prove to be a phenomenal film and a phenomenal Marvel film. So yeah, guys, that's really all the DC and really kind of Marvel updates I really haven't seen. So far, it sounds like Marvel and DC are doing really well and they're going to pull off something great. I can't wait for Lanterns, can't wait for Supergirl, and can't wait for Clayface. And I can't wait to see Avengers Doomsday and Spider-Man Brand New Day. And I can't wait to see what these projects are going to pull off. And guys, that's the end of the video. I appreciate your support. 53 subscribers. I will appreciate if we get to 60 guys. And guys, I will see you guys later.